next week. Just an awesome thing to bring people to. So make sure you bring your extended family next week. No idea of the quality of the acts that may be presented to us next week, but I'm sure it will be a fun time. And yeah, it's always cool to see what they come up with. It'll be great. So that's next Sunday. Today I'm kind of doing, well, it was never intended to be a part two to last week's message, but it kind of is a part two. Something struck me. I was listening to a song, and you probably heard the song, and it went something along the lines of act justly, love mercy, walk humbly with da 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 da. Have you ever heard that song? Yeah, a couple of them. It's a great song because it gets a verse stuck in your head, and then it goes round and round and round. That can only be a good thing. Even better than man-made lyrics, yeah? So that was cool, and that's from Micah chapter 6. Now, the little phrase that struck me out of that lyric, that chorus, was not so much the walk humbly and not so much the other one, which was, let me just read it, to act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. But the one that struck me the most was that middle one, which was love mercy. Love mercy, not just show mercy. Have you ever shown mercy but it hasn't really been your heart? It's love mercy. And so then I, of course, as I always do, had to go back and see what was that word mercy. I looked at all the different translations and I was like, I have to talk on love mercy. I'm not sure why. But then I looked at the word mercy, and a lot of the translations were very different in the word that they used, but they all kind of mean the same thing, obviously, which was kindness. And I was like, oh, I covered that last week. I think we all know that we're meant to be kind. But in certain translations, it's translated love mercy, love kindness, and it's all kind of under this same banner of undeserved, giving and kindness. And I am going to focus on this phrase, love mercy, today. So I thought, okay, let me come up with a story that I was shown mercy. I was a uni student back in the day, many a year ago, when I was young and had no attachments. And I was on the train to Warrabrook, where you get off at the train station to go to uni. I had books with me, and I was on that train to get to my class. Now, I did not have, I bought a train ticket. I always buy a train ticket, right? Just putting that out there. But I didn't have, I mustn't have had my full wallet with me or something like that. Anyway, I'm sitting on this train and I'm seeing this ticket person. They're all dressed up and looking for everybody's tickets. I'm like, I'm cool. But I don't know about you, whenever I see a policeman or a police car or whatever, I immediately think, what have I done wrong? I must have done. Anyone else like that? I must be doing something wrong. What evil have I done? Usually not anything as far as police issues go. But anyway, you always get a little bit stressed. The ticket, so I'm like, all right, I got my ticket. I'm sweet, I'm fine. So I show her my ticket and she says, all right, can I see your student card? Because I bought a student ticket because I was a student, because look at my books that I had with me. Clearly I'm a student and I'm getting off at Warrabrook. Well, let me see your student card. I don't have my student card with me. Well, she says, I'm sorry. Well, I don't actually think she said, I'm sorry. She said, well, then you've got to get a ticket because you have to have your student card in order to purchase a student ticket. I was getting worked up then. I said, I'm not a fighter, but I was just getting upset. I didn't have much money. I can't get a ticket now. I said, I've got my books here. Here's my books. I'm a student. She's like, no, and you have to have your student card with you in order to get a student ticket. And I was both outraged but also just overwhelmed. Now I'm getting in trouble, and I personally didn't really think I should be getting in trouble, but I guess that's the rule, right? That's the rule. If to buy a student ticket, you must have your student card on you. It's not like, well, if you have a pile of books, you can buy a student card. I guess that's not the rule. So I guess at the heart of it, I did disobey the black and white rule. And I sat there and I was so embarrassed just so embarrassed because everybody had obviously heard everything. There's nothing private in this packed train. And I was so, I don't know why, when I get in trouble by the authorities, I got really upset and I was sitting there and I was looking out the window. Tears came down my face. I was just so embarrassed that this had all happened, and now I'm really upset and I'm annoyed with myself that I'm so upset because it's like everyone has heard and now they can see I'm really upset sitting there. And I was upset about getting the fine, which was quite a lot of money for a student. It was like over $100. I can't remember the specific amount. And I was just like overwhelmed with the whole situation. And I also felt like it was unfair, but I could also see that it was fair in a way, but I didn't like that it was fair. And anyway, so I go through my day, catch the train home without my student card, because how was I going to get home? I don't remember if I bought a student ticket or a normal ticket. Let's just leave it at that. Let's presume that I bought a normal ticket to obey the rules. And I got home, and I have this ticket in my hand. I was like, this sucks. I go, and I'm like, okay, well, I was trying to figure out how I can get out of paying the ticket. Couldn't find a way to get out of paying the ticket, looking at all the fine print. Then I noticed in the ticket, she's written it all down. I clearly was upset in front of her. She could probably see that, this poor girl's just overwhelmed by this whole situation. She had written next year's date on the ticket. The ticket was invalid. That was the point of the story. That was where you were meant to go. She'd done that on purpose. Like, it very clearly was it was like in the future, like at least 12 months in advance. The ticket was invalid, and it was invalid. If the date's wrong, then it's invalid. It's in the fine print. So I didn't have to pay. So some of you skeptics in the room will be going, she did that accidentally. No, I believe. No, I do, because I could see in her eyes that she wasn't enjoying giving me this ticket. But once you've started this whole process as an authority figure, you've kind of got to go through with it. Once you said you have to have a student, and I didn't have a student card. And so I never had to pay that fine. I see that as an act of mercy. Look, the black and white rule stood, and as much as we all want to say that's ridiculous, which it is, the black and white rule is if you don't have a student card, you cannot buy a student ticket, as much as you can prove it in other various ways, like my very student-looking outfit with a bandana on my head and all that kind of thing. Even that could not allow me to get a student ticket. I was shown mercy, and I was extremely grateful. And all the, I couldn't afford the ticket, so then that took that burden off. But also I was like, I really had a problem with her until I realised, she didn't actually give me a ticket in the end anyway. I'm going to read Micah chapter 6, verses 6 to 8. Now in Micah is a short book in the Old Testament. Once again, it's all about Israel's done this, Israel's done that. They were in a hopeless, terrible, terrible spot where they were not following the Lord. And so Micah was having to say, all of this is going to unfold and it's all going to be terrible. And the response was like, okay, in chapter 6, what can I do? What do I do, Lord? Like, how do I avoid all this punishment? What can I do to avoid punishment in the future? And we'll pick it up in verse 6. It says, with what shall I come before the Lord and bow down before the exalted God? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Like, can I sacrifice my way out of this? Like, is that what I'm meant to be doing? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000 rivers of olive oil? And then to this extreme, it's like, what do I have to do? What can I do? Shall I offer my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? Because they had been so clearly shown that it was wrong. It was really, really wrong. This huge amount of things that they had done collectively and individually. Like, how can we make up? How can we pay for all this wrong that we've done, to the point of saying, am I meant to offer my firstborn son? Like, is that what I'm meant to do? And then it goes on to flip it in verse 8. It says, he has shown you, O mortal. I love that, because it's like, you already know the answer, and if you just paid attention, you would already know what the answer to that question is. He has shown you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? Okay, so you've done all this stuff, right? So what am I meant to do now? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Now, I'm not going to ask for a hands up. Who thinks that they internally, without, this is no physical representations of whether you think that you've got this covered. Who thinks they've got all three aspects covered? Doug does. Make me stand up. Who thinks they've got all those three covered? I reckon different people would probably struggle with different aspects of different parts of that. We're drawn, to things, everyone's a little bit different. But what I really want to focus on is loving mercy. I mean, we love it when mercy is shown to us. I mean, if I went around and I asked you for stories of when mercy was shown to you, you might have to think for a little bit. But there will probably be for each of us a story where mercy was shown to you, like at school or with family or with friends, or, when you've been the person wrong and the punishment has not come your way. Now, it's lovely to be a recipient of mercy, but who loves showing mercy to other people? Anybody in the room? Who loves to be that person that dishes the mercy out? I was talking to scripture kids, and they really know nothing, so it's very difficult for them to understand why Jesus had to die. Like, we're talking absolute ground base level of understanding of the whole thing. But they're old, so they can comprehend concepts. And you might go, this is a little bit unbiblical, but I'm trying to put it in ways that they might understand. I say, well, it's like you have started a fight and you've pushed somebody, then you've got a lunchtime detention, right? And if your friend, who wasn't involved in any of it and never did anything wrong, said, I will do your lunchtime detention for you, and went and sat in that lunchtime detention, and how would that feel? Would that feel good? Would you be like, why did you do that? Like, did you deserve it? And then I go into saying, well, that's what Jesus did for you, but on a much bigger scale. And we kind of start edging towards understanding why he had to doing it. It's quite incredible, the mercy that has been shown us. But I think when we read love mercy, we kind of go, oh yeah, I do love mercy. I love mercy. I love mercy, like, for example, when I have a clean out of my house and I find all of the things that I don't want anymore and are cluttering my house, and I take them to the op shop. Very merciful action of giving away my possessions to the poor, and I give them away in my act of mercy. I'm just going to flip that on its head and say that was an act of mercy. If anything, that's a selfish act. You're getting rid of the stuff that you don't want. But I love mercy. I love to show mercy when it's convenient for us, and when it suits us, and when it makes us feel good. That's not real mercy. That's not hardcore mercy that we're talking about. That's not what we mean when we say love mercy. There wasn't any sacrifice involved in that. If anything, they were helping you, taking your stuff. And a simple phrase that helped me understand more what mercy is, and it's not a sweeping statement that can be applied to everything, but it helped me understand aspects of mercy. Mercy is often bearing the consequences for someone else's sin. Now think about that. Mercy is often, not always, but often bearing the consequences for someone else's sin. Now then when you say, I love mercy, takes on a whole different depth to that, yeah? That's not so easy. Oh, I love bearing the consequences of somebody else's sin. I love it when I've done nothing wrong and I have to deal with it, you know what I mean? Mercy is often bearing the consequences for someone else's sin. And you know what? It's not natural, really, to us sinful people, who we are. It's not natural to want, to love, to show mercy to someone who abused you as a child. It's not natural to show mercy to somebody who is consistently mean to you. It's not natural. It's not to show mercy to whatever happened to you that wasn't your fault, that was inflicted upon you, and now you're bearing the consequences for somebody else's sin. That's not natural to go, oh, I love showing mercy. I love it. I love it. The ultimate act of mercy, and this sermon is going to be so short today. You are going to be so impressed with me. because I really only have one point to make, and it's so simple. The ultimate act of mercy was Jesus, yeah? Where he bore the consequence. So it's for somebody else's sin. My sin, your sin, and he loves mercy. He would never ask us to love mercy if he didn't love mercy himself. I'll just flip. I have a verse at the end. It's from Lamentations 3:22. It says, the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies, right? And if we look at it in the context of mercy being that he is willing to bear the consequences of somebody else's sin, his mercies never come to an end. I honestly could not say that about myself. My mercies come to an end. I'm not saying that proudly. I'm just saying that, push too far, there's a limit before you get bitter and angry. The mercies of the Lord, they never come to an end. What an amazing gift, right? Now I have a video because I think it's nice to hear the words. It's harder for it to capture your heart. So I pray as you watch this video that this would capture your heart like it captured my heart, and I could not believe what I was watching. And you may have seen this already. The background to this video is that this woman, Amber Geiger, you probably know the story, it was it happened in 2018, and then the court case was later, shot and killed a 26-year-old guy called Gene in his own apartment. He's probably ringing your bell for you now. So she had returned to her apartment building, went to the wrong floor, the door was ajar, she got freaked out, opened the door, shot the guy. Unfortunately, it was his own apartment, and she had gone to the wrong floor. It's insane. And she also was a police officer. So this video is his brother's statement at the court proceeding. And let's just this is the attitude that Jesus has had, will always have. And this is the kind of put Jesus in this guy's place, right? I think he's an amazing representation of who Jesus is. So try and see it in Jesus acts like this to us when we don't deserve it. Let's have a watch.
I don't want to say twice or for the 100th time what or how much you've taken from us. I think you know that. But I hope you go to God with all the guilt, the bad things you may have done in the past. Each and every one of us may have done something that we're not supposed to do. If you truly are sorry, I know I can speak for myself. I forgive you. And I know if you go to God and ask Him, He will forgive you. And I don't think anyone could say it. Again, I'm speaking for myself, not even behalf of my family. But I love you just like anyone else. And I'm not gonna say I hope you rot and die just like my brother did, but I personally want the best for you. And I wasn't gonna ever say this in front of my family or anyone, but I don't even want you to go to jail. I want the best for you. Because I know that's exactly what both of them would want you to do. And the best would be give your life to Christ. I'm not gonna say anything else. I think giving your life to Christ would be the best thing that both of them would want you to do. Again, I love you as a person. And I don't wish anything bad on you. I don't know if this is possible, but can I give her a hug, please? Please?
Yes. So this guy, like, I'll put some more context into it, right? In the court case, stuff came out that she had sent really racist text messages and stuff like that throughout the court case. This is not a woman that's like, she's a perfect citizen, she just made a mistake. That there was there's a bit of a history of, not being nice. And yet this is his attitude. I want the best for you. I love you. Like, Put yourself in that situation of the worst thing that anybody's ever done to you. Could you say that? Like, genuinely say that. I love you. I want the best for you. If it were up to me, I wouldn't even send you to prison. Like, the worst thing, it will be different for everybody here. Unfortunately, we live in a simple world, and people will have done something to you at some point. Different levels of what people have had to endure in their life will be completely different within the room. But we've all had to deal with, and probably are dealing with, something that somebody has done to us. Will we love mercy? I don't know. Will we? That's what we've been asked to do. And the thing is that God does not only show mercy, He loves mercy. No. Like, who could possibly love bearing the consequences for somebody else's sin? Like, how is that possible? You know what? I don't think it's naturally, humanly possible. I don't think it is. We have to go to God. We have to go to God. Because supernaturally, it is possible. He will enable us to do what we need to do, to change our hearts, to be transformed, to love mercy, just like He does. Now, I had these verses framed. These were my favourite verses when I was in high school. Because I struggled to really come to God and know that I'm forgiven. I was racked with guilt a lot of the time and condemnation and that kind of thing. And so these verses stood out to me the most, probably out of anything that I had read, and I wrote them down and I framed them and I had them next to my bed. And it says this in Hebrews chapter 4. It says, "Seeing then that we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens," that's Jesus, the Son of God, "let us hold fast our confession. For we do not have a high priest," Jesus, "who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but was in all points tempted as we are, and yet without sin." And this is where it really was like, "Let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need." Because we're first shown mercy, right? And if you're sitting there, and if I'm standing here and I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't even need mercy because I'm just flipping amazing. Then we need to ask the Lord to really show us who we really are. Do you love mercy? Do you not love mercy? Maybe you're so much further from the heart of God than you even realize that you are. And we need to understand that Jesus bore the consequences for our sin first. Then a little easier to show mercy to other people. Mercy doesn't start with us. It started with the Lord. Thank goodness. so we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need. Because you might be going, I cannot change my heart. I cannot get over whatever happened. I cannot do it. Well, you know what? His grace is there to help us in our time of need. So my encouragement today is don't just show mercy, but love to show mercy by the power of God. Heaven will eventually be filled with Chloe's and Peter's and Mary's and Trudy's and everybody else's name, insert your name there. Not because we're good, not because we're the goodest people of the whole earth and we made it. We will be filling heaven because of the mercy of God. It's got nothing to do with our goodness. It's literally founded on mercy, because God loves to show mercy to us. So we're doing communion today, and I thought that really this is an act of reflecting on the mercy of God, the undeserved mercy that we all have. And I think that we can, when we have a conviction of our own sin, we can go in two directions. Go, oh, woe is me, and sink to the floor and beat ourselves up. Or we can come boldly to the throne of God and accept the grace that he has. And if we can come and go with gratefulness, right? With gratitude, that's the response the Lord wants us to have. Beating ourselves up is not helping anybody or anything. It's not helping the Lord. It's not making you look better to him. If anything, it's taking you further away from him. We need to come boldly and accept the mercy, accept that he has borne the consequences for our sin, and come boldly to him. So what I'm going to do is something a little unusual. I want you to reflect. This is a time of reflection, and I'm going to sing a song. And I want you in your own time, whether that's immediately or towards the end of the song, it's only a 3-minute song, it's quite quick. I want you to come to the Lord with gratefulness for the mercy that has been shown you. And then I really want us to also ask the Lord to transform us that we can love mercy like he does. So in your own time, you've got, I think it's 3 minutes and 10 seconds to take your communion in your own time between you and the Lord. So let's just take that time now.
So I will sing, this is why I thank the Lord for everything.
come to you with a grateful heart this morning. We want to say thank you for your mercy to us, undeserved mercy.